That may be it.
Rolls it out. There can't be much more time left. Oh, Jason Lee. He had to time that perfectly, and he did.
One final attack on all fronts for Kettering Town. And we're going the wrong way at the moment.
Backwards.
That's poor. That is
It's
poor.
Again, the passing.
Andy Hall, this is it, you have to feel.
Goodin's going to get on to the end of this. He's got Andrew Watson.
Watts, no son, just Watts.
Oh, Watts, sorry.
There we go.
Watson. Poor pass.
Poor low, poor. He's won it back though and he's lost it again. Well, if I had to question anything, it would have to be the decision to maybe bring Doobie off. I really wouldn't have done that. He was having an absolute scorcher. I don't.
And his score goals for Kettering.
I'm not too sure about.
But I think in conditions like this is when you want players to run with the ball instead of passing it. It's shown that we've not been able to pass well today, and the likes of Hoban, Doobie, you're hoping Andy Hall to run the ball into the area.
Kolodinsky actually got the end of that one, and then it's tackled. It's throw into Rugby. That'll be the game. That'll be the game, I'm afraid. Rugby don't care where it goes at the moment, as long as it's not in their net, it's fine.
Clifton with the ball.
Keep saying one final attack, and it really is at the moment.
And that's not even going to reach any Kettering players. That's disappointing again.
That's going.
Look
at the referee. I have no idea where this time is coming from. As a Kettering fan, though, you have to be thankful for it. He's just checked his watch, though, so still got a little bit left.
Trying to find Solcombe, heads it forward.
Heads it on.
He's not going to get on the end of that. Andy Hall just standing there. Throw and taken backwards to Jepson.
That's okay, because he was the only one in space.
Trying to find Solcombe. Balls like that, not going to help.
Andy Gooding heads the ball out towards Andy Hall. Andy Hall has an overlap if he wants it. In towards Andy Gooding. Gooding back to Hall out wide to Kinneborough. Kinneborough now needs to do something towards Gooding. Gooding, nutmegs the player. Still going, Andy Gooding, still going!
Shouts for handball.
I don't know about that one, I don't know about that. The hand came up, I didn't see where it hit.
No, that's not going to reach anyone. And Watts plays it back to Lee.
Oh,
and that's wasted. Wasted.
Thought it might do, but one man of the match.
You're right.
Deserved it. Really deserved it.
As you said, could he have continued his last 20 minutes? Been a threat, possibly.
Hanwell won. We're hearing Aylesbury, I think, is still drawing, so that takes a little bit of pressure off us. It means we'll only be 6 points rather than 7.
Time whistle.
And there's full time. It's finished here. Kettering Town 0, Rugby Town 1. Back inside to you, Paul.
The next home game here is on Saturday against Beaconsfield, 3 o'clock kickoff. The next game here is on Saturday against Beaconsfield.
Well, that's not the scoreline that we wanted to see in 2015. Kettering Town 0, Rugby Town 1, and we have to apologise for the pictures there. The wind causing havoc with the relay, and we did well to, in fact, broadcast quite a bit of that game due to those weather conditions. But you didn't miss much. You probably saw the goal, that well-struck strike from McBride. Kettering were down to 10 men after the sending off of Tommy Hull. Probably a little bit harsh considering that Conor McEnroe probably should have been sent off prior to the Hull, but sending off. But Chris, a disappointing start to 2015. Certainly one the Poppies didn't want, and once again the rugby voodoo continues.
I just don't think we can't try and put excuses on anything today. The players just didn't play well enough with the wins. I think rugby coped with it better in the first half. Obviously they had the wind with them. We were consistently playing a long ball against a strong wind, which, you know, I'm no football expert, but that's not what I expect to see in the second half. First 10-15 minutes we really played with the wind and we really tried to take our chances, but then the sending off was pivotal, and you know, Tommy held 2 lunging challenges, both yellow card offences. Yes, you can argue whether they should have been down to 10 men already. They weren't. The referee decided not to give it. 10 men weren't good enough for the second half, and rugby came into it more as the half went on, and then the second half of that second half, it looked to be rugby were going to take the points.
Well, I know on commentary they said that if it looked likelihood of one team scoring, it's going to be rugby, and that's what they did with a well taken goal from McBride, who had been booked prior to that goal. But Kettering, as you say, hit the bar with Tommy Hull, the man who was sent off from 16 yards after the Doobie Og Bonner miskicked his shot. And we're just hearing that the score that's most important to us all was Aylesbury United 3, Aylesbury FC 4. So that means that we are 4 points ahead of Aylesbury FC on the same games. But again, a disappointing display from the Poppies. Elliot Sandy truly not really back to match fitness after illness.
No, he was asking to, you know, when we went down to 10 men, they were talking to him about, you know, is he coming off, is he going on? Because I think the plan was, but he said, if I can stay up top, I can play there for the rest of the game, but if you put me in the middle of the park, which is where he was being asked to play, we couldn't carry on with those legs. So double substitution, Andy Gooding, Andy Hall. We know that Andy Gooding is a good technical footballer, but the conditions out there are appalling, and they just didn't suit Andy Gooding type of player. So we just lack something today, and you know, I don't want to be too downhearted, because let's face it, we are still top of the league, we are still 4 points clear, but this is a game we could and should have won, but it just didn't go our way today.
We say could and should have won. The statistics don't really ally that. There were very, very few chances from either side that actually mattered. Neither goalkeeper was really brought into too much action. One low save from Macalinden and a couple of efforts from goalkeeper Morris. His first win against Kettering, Morris, ex-Daventry of course. They won today 4-2 at Bedworth United, so that did help the Poppies' cause. But the game here that mattered in front of 872, a fantastic attendance, Chris.
It was. I mean, you know, 872 people. I find it quite interesting when you see other clubs talking about their big gates. You know, Daventry 660. I think Corby had 650 there today as well, which is a big gate. But then the Kettering fans show their true worth. They're coming out in style on these big games, and 872 people is a big attendance. I think it's certainly the highest this season. I think, take away the playoff games towards the back end of last season, I think it's up there with the highest attendance at Latimer Park outside the playoffs.
It is, and hats off also to the Rugby Town supporters that came over. Probably the only club that brought a following of note, so well done to them. Unfortunately, going home with 3 points, but
let's have the ball left the bar before we go in there.
Yeah, so I hope we can span this out a little bit longer. We're hoping to get manager Scott Mason to come over with his views. I'm sure he'll be as disappointed as the rest of us. No doubt they're lambasting the players. But let's get back. I mentioned to this pitch. I was mentioning it to Richie at half time. We have to consider the playing surface we're playing on. It is like Skegness Beach.
It's horrible out there. I took a walk across it before the match, and the area nearest the dugouts on this side of the pitch, where there's been a lot of work done, there's been a lot of sand going down. It's just not a nice area to play football, and you can see when the players are standing on it, they're sinking, there's water coming up, and with the way that pitch is looking now at the end of this game, and with rain forecast over the next 48 hours, I'll be very surprised if Saturday's game against Beaconsfield goes ahead.
Yeah, it's supposed to be weather-wise a good day on Friday, a nice sunny day apparently, but as you say, it's going to rain later, allegedly around night time, Friday night, and as we know, it's not a good drain pitch, and after the hammering this pitch has taken today, as you say, it looks like the game may well be called off. So keep looking at the various websites for news on that game. We'll bring you as much as we can on the official website when and if that game is called off. But keep looking. It might go ahead. We don't know for sure. But there we go.
I don't want to belittle, what happened out there today, but they were terrible conditions to play. And I said in the first half, just trying to get myself on the air for a little bit more than I normally do. As I was doing the camera, and I apologise for the camera work, but the wind was, it was taking me off my feet, and I'm a big guy, and it was just the gust of wind. They're up on that gantry, so as soon as the ball went anything more than 3 or 4 up in the air, the wind was playing havoc with it. We saw it with a couple of corner kicks that James Jepson was taking, and he took a couple of appalling corner kicks. But you're listening to Scott and Tom; they're just sitting there going, he can't ask him to do any more than that, because it's almost impossible to get a crossing from that position. Rugby dealt with it better in the first half with the win for them, and I think actually in the second half they coped with it slightly better as well.
Well, the man advantage did help, didn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
that they had a little bit more extra in their tank than Kettering did, and let's be honest, they were down to their bare bones of a squad as well. Their leading goal scorer, Lake Gaskin, wasn't available, and they could only name 3 substitutes, so that wasn't the strongest rugby side, but once again they leave Latimer Park with a victory, one of the only teams to consistently do that so far. Unfortunately, them and Slough Town are the only 2 that have done that, so that is disappointing for 2015, but long way to go, as we say, and I'm sure some of the doom-mongers will enjoy that one. I don't know why, but we should be behind the lads.
It will obviously be Scott and Tom's fault.
Well, it is Scott and Tom's fault because they haven't got the weather conditions right.
Exactly, and they haven't got the pitch drying properly
in time, so it's obviously their fault for that. But there we have it. Nothing we can do about that. Again, we must apologise for some of the camera work, etc., and some of the signal because of
the wind
weather
on the microphone as well.
Oh, dreadful! Yes, I mean, in the old days, of course, it was never like that, was it? I remember baseball ground Derby used to be a bit like Latimer Park in days gone by, but so that pitch has taken a hammering.
But the crowd, to be fair to the crowd, second half they tried to get behind the team. There was some good voice. It's always nice, although it is, on the one hand you do like it when you've got 650 fans here, all from Kettering Town and 10 from the away team, because it's a nice, friendly, warm environment. But actually I reckon there's best part of 100 rugby fans here today, and to get a bit of a crowd in, and there's a bit of ding dong going on in the songs and what have you, and even when the crowd was announced, what's it like to see a crowd to the rugby fans? When they scored a goal, our fans were still singing, "We're still top of the league," So there was still some good banter, and I'd imagine the rugby fans, obviously, I was nice and warm in here by that point. But at the end of the game, I'd imagine the Rugby Town fans were giving it back, and you want them rivalries in football, and
as long as it's friendly rivalry.
The rivalry we have with Rugby Town is a good rivalry. It's a good, friendly, football-based rivalry. And some of the challenges on that pitch today were going in, but we've got quite a few players who've gone either way between the 2 teams. And I know there's a few of them saying hello to each other before kick-off, and I'm sure they'll be shaking hands after the game. And, it was just a disappointing performance today. It was disappointing.
It was in the 14 games that we've now played against Rugby. That's their 6th win against the Mighty Poppers since 1958. We haven't met them too many times, and the last 3 times have all gone really in favour of Rugby, albeit the draw at Butlin Road last season when Elliott scored that super equaliser in the dying embers. That didn't happen today.
Well, I suppose the one thing in our favour, Cookie, is that we've played now a lot of the teams at the top end of the table. We're now back to playing some of the teams who are mid-bottom end of the table.
Yes, so we're not judged on those, are we? We're only judged playing the top 6, as you know as well as I do.
And they're the top 6 that we didn't lose against in November and best part of December.
We're only saying this in jest.
But we have got a run of games now where we've had a bit of a December, and today hasn't been the best month. November was a good month for us. This December has been, on the grand scheme of things, hasn't been that bad. We're still top of the table. Yes, our lead's been cut, but our lead's been cut more so by the performances that Aylesbury FC have been putting together, as opposed to anything else is going on. We haven't thrown a lot of points away. Our gap over Bedworth and Hanwell is still the same as it was at the start of that period of time. So we've performed as well as 3 of the top 4, 2 of the other top 4 teams. It's just Aylesbury have outperformed us in points, and we've now got an opportunity to start getting a bit of a momentum going before we get back into the end of the season, where the points really start, they all count, but you're starting to look at, are we going to get automatic promotion, or are we back in the playoffs?
Well, we still have 2 crunch games against Aylesbury FC and Bedworth United at home. Let's hope that the pitch has hardened up a bit and it is more playable for conducive football rather than just lumping it anywhere you can, because that's what it seemed to be to me out there.
My biggest concern,
very, very little finesse out there.
It wasn't a pretty game. My biggest concern actually is that if you look at the table and the way things are going, if we don't get automatic promotion and we finish second in the league, are we going to get Rugby in the playoffs?
Well, who knows about that one? But they certainly failed us last year, and I know that they didn't want to play us last year, as they didn't. And Daventry were the team running away with the league last season, and of course were overtaken by Dunstable.
We've also got Captain Marvel, Steve Kinniburgh, come to join us.
So,
He's obviously got something he wants to say.
If you'd like to pop off for a few
get off
moments,
there, shall I?
we'll get Steve over here, who's still in Dunkirk mode out there. So there we go. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you in a few moments, and if you can get the manager to come along, that would be fantastic. Don't throw that in here, please. Steve, commiserations, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
But not a very happy game overall, was it?
No.
A few bookings, needless bookings, strange refereeing decisions, and down to 10 men it counted for Rugby, didn't it?
Yeah, I think when we went down to 10 men, they started coming into the game. Obviously, the first half with the wind and the conditions, we were penned in, but I felt that we defended well. We limited them to maybe 1 or 2 shots on a goal, which didn't really trouble Jamie. And then second half we came out, we were on top, we hit the crossbar. I think we should have had maybe a couple more chances created, and then we get the man sent off, and they could have got one sent off just before. But that's
Connor McEnroe was only on the pitch a few minutes and was booked, and then
he could have had another one.
Didn't he?
But then Tommy goes, and our shape changed a little bit. They started to come into the game more in the second half, and unfortunately they got that goal right at the end, and it's a killer really, especially in the new year. You want to kick on and you want to try and get as many points as possible in January, February when the pitches are like that and the weather's a bit different, and we've not done it today.
Silly question, Steve, but what's it like playing on that quagmire?
It's not great, but that's the pitch. You know, that's the pitch we've got to play on. We've got to deal with it. There's no point in huffing and puffing and saying that the pitch, because at the end of the day, I know it's a cliche, but both teams do need to play on it.
But it certainly didn't help to break news football, did it? And
no, the
wind
football,
conditions
the
also
football and the
must have
wind.
hampered,
Obviously, it's going to be a different sort of game played. I mean, you couldn't put 4 or 5 passes together on that, especially in the first half with the wind. We did try, and we gave the ball away silly too many times. But in the second half, I felt we'd done a little bit better. The final third today, I felt that we could have had a little bit more, and we maybe would have snuck a goal ourselves, but we didn't, and it's not good enough.
Elliot played, and after his illness, and it probably showed a little bit. He could only give probably 60 minutes of his normal game, and we certainly miss Elliot when he's not there, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you go back to the conditions and the way you sometimes have to play, Elliot's great for holding the ball up and getting the flick-ons, and he's intelligent as well in the box where he managed to get himself a half yard. And I'm sure he'll be back. Give him a week or so, and he'll have cleared his illness, and he'll be back to where he was a few weeks ago. Also, I suppose major disappointment for Colo as well, facing his former colleagues for the first time on the reverse end, and Rugby once again have done it. Yep. I think he was trying really hard today. He was turning and twisting in the box, and he was trying everything. I think he had a couple of shots, half chances, but he couldn't find the net.
I suppose the next thing to do now is go to Buckland Road and spank them there at their place. So
well, that's what we need to do. Yeah, I mean, we played well there last time. We just couldn't score. Last season,
one-sided 1-1 draw I've ever seen.
Yeah, when we scored in the last kick of the ball. So if we can go there and dominate the game like we have, and we can do it, then we just have to go there, and we need to bring the 3 points home.
So did you celebrate last night then at all?
No, not much. I just obviously seen the bells and then to bed. When you've got a game on the first, it's always bed.
I suppose it's really tonight. So you've only got one day rest before perhaps the game on Saturday. We're not sure with the pitch, of course, if that will go ahead, but we'll have to wait and see. But unlucky Steve, thank you for joining us, and I'll be speaking to you in a little while for another captain's report for you. So,
brilliant. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening if you can. Well, we've got joint manager Scott Machin joining us now. We'll get Scott's views on the game. And well, Scott, this is quite unusual for me and you. It's the first time I can remember that we've sat here together and we've actually lost.
Yeah.
Lost a game. I was just saying to Steve, not the best way to start 2015. We've talked about the conditions and the service, etc. But overall, we just weren't good enough, were we?
No, not good enough today. The first half was very difficult because of the wind more than anything rather than the pitch. So we found it quite difficult to get out of our own half at times. And to be fair, we did the same to them in the early part of the second half. They couldn't get out of their own area, and we had some good possession. But overall, we weren't good enough today.
It all hinged really on the Tommy Hull sending off, in my opinion. It seemed that they had the impetus after that. Up until that point, we've hit the bar. We've had a few attempts where Morris has had to come into the action.
Yes.
And as soon as Hully went off, it gave them that extra spark. And the commentary team did say, I could hear them from where I was, that if there's going to be a goal, it's only going to be one way, and that happened. It was a good strike. Jamie didn't stand much chance with that, I don't think.
No, he didn't. No, disappointed that the guys come into the box and no one's trying to pick him up. The sevens come in, and so I'm disappointed with that a little bit. But there's two key moments in the second half there. The first one is when Tommy hits the bar. When
will he ever score?
To score, yeah. And then obviously the sending off. It's a silly challenge. No need to make that challenge. There were no complaints about the red card. It's definitely a second booking.
But prior to that, though, their guy, I know we've harped on about this a couple of times prior to coming in, but Conor McEnroe, he was only on the pitch a few moments, was booked straight away, and then he sliced down another catcher by Sandy and never even was spoken to by the referee, which is equally as poor as that.
Yeah.
So
you'd like a bit more consistency.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't have changed what we did ourselves. Tommy, it's a silly challenge that he shouldn't have made. And hopefully he'll learn from that. Because. We need to make sure we're better than that. I was really disappointed with the way we played today.
Discipline-wise, have gone a bit sort of ahoy at the moment, hasn't it? That's our fifth sending off this season, 2 in 2 games. It wasn't an ugly match. Conditions must have played a bit into that, some of the tackles, etc. But we're going to have a few players suspended soon, aren't we?
Yeah, we need to watch it. We need to watch ourselves. We're racking up the yellow cards. Obviously, Tommy will miss. Probably only
2 weeks.
Will he get 2 games? Will he?
Was it 2 yellows today? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
Get 2 games for that.
Clifton got a yellow and a straight red, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So it's we need to be careful, because the pitches don't help, but what we need to do is make sure that we're starting games in a more positive manner, because if we do that, then we won't put ourselves in the position like we did today. But you can't. I suppose you can't win every game, even though you want to. All we can do now is deal with Saturday, which is going to be been here before we know it.
Yes, it's the old bounce back ability cliche again, isn't it? We need to get back into that game against Beaconsfield. A fantastic support of 872, which is phenomenal to this level once again. Don't think there'll be that many against Beaconsfield, because I think Rugby brought a fair percent. Well, they brought a percentage of fans, around 100 or so, where Beaconsfield won't do that. But we need to generate that atmosphere and get behind everybody and go on and win.
Yeah, we did. I said this after the Daventry game. The fans play a massive part for us. They lift the team when they need lifting. Today it didn't quite work out for us, but we'll have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down. We've got 48 hours and we go again. And we need to make sure that we're positive on our outlook on that. We can't start getting our heads down every time we lose a game, because we're going to lose games of football.
Cool.
It was just the manner of the defeat today that disappoints me more than anything else.
Goalkeeper wise, Richard Knight didn't pull off anything in the warm up. He couldn't continue in the warm up, and then Jamie's obviously got a groin injury.
Yeah.
Bit of not a desperate state of affairs, but not the best.
No, it's not the best. It's difficult.
Definitely.
Hopefully, Richard will have another 48 hours, and hopefully that might improve his arm a little bit more. He did have a fitness test early on, but was still struggling a little bit, so we did it best to not play him. And then Jamie struggled a little bit with his kicking, especially first half against the wind. So that did help.
Aggravated that.
And he's aggravated his groin a little bit. So it's not the best scenario for us, but this is what it is. We have to move on. We're not. We're not a Premier League club, so we can't have 3-4 goalkeepers.
We work on some people. But
yeah. So we've got to deal with it. All clubs go through this. Maybe this is our sticky patch of the season. So we've got to make sure that we see ourselves through it.
Can you shed any light on the absence of Ash Robinson? He wasn't in the squad against them.
Yeah, Ash is away on holiday. Simple as that. Yeah, he's gone to New York for Christmas and New Year. So very nice for him, but not quite so nice for us. Ash should be back. I think he may even be back for Saturday. It'd be good to have some fresh legs in the camp as well, because there's some tired bodies in that dressing room at the moment. Especially with, I don't know, what it was, about 20-25 minutes without Tommy on the pitch, so some of the guys are really struggling at the moment.
I remember Graham Carr used to take his Northampton town side to Skeg Beach to train on Skeg Beach there, but we've no need to do that, have we?
No,
we've got it out.
We've got it here already. We just haven't got to see, unfortunately.
Thank you, Scott, for coming in. I'm sure you're disappointed like we all are, and it's great for you to come over and have a chat with us, and no doubt we'll be doing this in a couple of games' time. A win next time, please.
Absolutely,
and we'll get the miserable one in next time. Mr. Tom Bailey. So There we are, the views of joint manager there, Scott, about Ketterin's 1-0 defeat. And to finish off proceedings, we welcome back Chris Knight to give you his final monologue before we close down.
I think Scott hit the nail on the head. He's exactly what I was saying before he came in here. We just weren't good enough today, and there's no excuses. You can't look to hide behind anything. There was just something that wasn't quite right in the team, and they will learn from it, and they'll take the hit, and hopefully they'll bounce back from it. And that's what Scott will try and instigate into them, and that's what Tom will try and do that as well. And so all we can do is say, look, mark it down as an experience. Yeah, it's not quite New Year, but let's imagine that tomorrow's New Year and we'll start again and we'll come back.
Work.
But we'll come back fighting, because that's what we do. This club has been knocked down and been, almost been out for the count on more than one occasion. This isn't drastic. This isn't dire. I was talking to our sponsor earlier. I was just waiting to be interviewed to you, saying that what's nice these days is the big problem we've got is we've just lost 1-0 to Rugby.
Yeah,
exactly. We are top of the table. We have got somewhere to play for a couple of years now. The situation is getting sorted out. I didn't know what Richard was talking about at half time, but I guarantee he's positive about the future. So we're still in a good position. We just had a little bit of a knock. We've had the wind taken out of our sails, ironically, with the wind that's out there today. But the players will bounce back.
So there we are then, that's us finished here. It's Kettering Town 0, Rugby Town 1, and we're back here on Saturday against Beaconsfield. Let's hope that we can get back on that promotional challenge and take it from there. So from me, Paul Cook, and Chris Knight, it's good night.
Good night.
And we'll see you on Saturday.